Hi, and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast. I'm doing a solo today, and I'm going to be doing questions in this episode as well because we got a ton of questions, and I still haven't managed to get through most of it. And I thought it would be interesting to do yet another episode, or rather, a back-to-back episode, which is a Q&A. Today, I'm going to be answering three questions. Let's start with the first one. Question: how do you manage interruptions while working from home? That's a very interesting question. It's a very interesting question because when you actually work from home, and most of you have done so, you find that the number of interruptions are high and there are many opportunities to kind of procrastinate, get distracted, and people have access to you. When you're out of the house, people don't actually have access. They have to make calls to you. What would happen before when I would step out of the house is before I leave, whoever has any questions, whether it's stuff about things getting done, they would ask me before I leave. And then, the time that I left home, it was my work hour. Unless it was an emergency, nobody was calling. But now that I work from home, because people have access all the time, there's interruptions from somebody sending a courier over, so the delivery guy needs instructions, or they left the parcel somewhere that I've got to get picked up, or suddenly the staff comes in and they need some ingredient that's missing from the menu. There's something that happened and I'm the easiest person to access. And the same thing happens, right? When my daughter comes back from school, she's constantly in and out of my office unless I'm on a call. And so if I'm just sitting at my desk and working my computer and working, she doesn't hesitate to come in and chat or ask me something. So this is something that happens all the time to me, and it's really hard to avoid interruptions. A workaround that I find is now I've started to tell family and staff that I'm going up to work. The difference is I'm not on the same floor. I have a separate office room. And so I'm like, I'm going up to work and I don't want any interruptions and I'm going to be having a call. I can't afford to be interrupted if I'm doing a podcast interview or podcast recording like such as this one. Ask me anything that you need now, right? So that's one thing that I do with my daughter because it's only after she comes back from school. That's easily manageable, but more or less it's going to be work in progress and you can't really not expect to be interrupted, especially if you're getting delivery parcels. That's something that I will tell you. It's work in progress and you try to work around that. The next question is, do you batch your tasks? Yes, I try to batch my tasks as much as possible. I will be the first one to say that it isn't always possible. I do fall off the wagon. I often get messy. I get bad at it. I try as much as possible. It's really one of my hacks, so to say. So, yes and no. Not as much as I would like it, but yes, I do batch some of my tasks. Question 3: do you need to run to after school classes and help with schoolwork? Yes, a lot. So I have to plan my work schedule and my calendar around my daughter's after school classes. There's schoolwork as well that my daughter is having to do because she's slowly getting into a bigger grade. So I have to plan my calendar around her classes. It's not as much, but even if it's once, twice a week, there still needs to be planning because sometimes I have to factor in traffic, I have to factor in distance, and I have to plan my life around that. I try not to have too many classes because there's a lot that goes on in school, and I like to allow her some free time because now that she's going into higher grades, there is schoolwork, some assignments, some projects that they are working on. About helping with schoolwork, it's something that I've had to now kind of make space for. It's not something that I have to do all the time. But yes, I need to be on top of it in terms of making sure that her assignments happen on time, she's completing her work on time. And sometimes she does need help. Maybe I need to sit with her for math a little bit. I really like to be hands on, and this is something I do. But then we also share tasks. Sometimes, my husband does it, sometimes I do it. But there is a task involved in making sure I'm following up. I need to check the school dashboard to figure out what's the work that has been assigned, and then just make sure she's submitting it on time. I don't like to handhold or sit with her full time. I want her to develop her own independence and self motivation, which she is to a large extent. So that has been really helpful. So, yes, I mean, like all moms and dads, this is something that I do have to factor in my daily life. And I think it's going to be like that for a while, right? Especially for those who have young children, it's going to be a lot of this. It's going to be like that, but I don't mind because I know this is probably till a certain time in my life, and after that I'm going to have a lot of free time to be working on some of the things. And because I prioritize family, my child, and work, I don't find it too hard to juggle. I'm sure if I had to add on a lot more elements, I was traveling a lot more for work, this would just get far more challenging. So, yeah, that's my response to that. And these are the questions we had for today. I like to keep these Q&As short. And if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, do send it to me. You can email us. I'll drop the email link in the show notes below, so you can email us and I will answer this in the next Q&A episode that I have. All right, thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.